Hello again. This is Olympus Mons with the Above Limits podcast. This podcast today, we're talking about the Brett Kavanaugh confirmations, or the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh, and how it's going. We had a bombshell last couple of days in that whole front with the sexual assault, supposed sexual assault victim that he had when he was a teenager in high school. She came forward and basically is now saying that she's telling her story and that she was raped by Brett Kavanaugh. So we're gonna go through that today. My first opinion on the whole situation is I never really thought that I'd have such a big interest in politics and American politics, but I guess that's just the way it is. My main focus is the New World Order, and you have to bring up politics because these are the people that are affecting the manipulation of people, putting out fake news, putting out misinformation, putting out just any step for the right direction of a duly elected president is being destroyed because of people's hatred towards the president that was elected by the people, the way we elect our president through the Electoral College. I say that because you'll have people say, well, he didn't get the popular vote. Well, so what? That's not the way we vote in our president, and if you have a problem with that, you need to be starting now. And a lot of times these people, they're usually losers. They don't contribute nothing or not one thing to society, and they want to dictate and say, well, that's not the way it should be. Well, if it's not the way it should be, you should start now in forming groups and spreading the word and getting people like-minded like yourself to start getting the ball rolling to change that, us using the Electoral College in getting our president. But like I said, the New World Order, the deep state, they always put their hands out to manipulate and affect every part of this political process, especially with Donald Trump. And this is just another example. So they waited to the last minute before the man was, the deciding factor of whether this man is going to be nominated. They waited to the last minute, very calculated on the timing of the release of the allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. And the thing is that the Democrats are scared. And I would be too if I was them. Because the Supreme Court, their lifetime term. And so if you have Donald Trump already having one Supreme Court appointee, even though he's out of office in 4 to 8 years, his hand is still there because he chose those lifetime appointees, and all these people are pretty young. And if Ruth Bader Ginsburg retires, then he'll have a third, and whatever else happens, Trump could have 3 appointees. Is my point, and this could be volatile to those that want to keep Roe versus Wade, in effect. And so the election is in November, and the Democrats really think that they are going to impeach Trump. They really think that once that their side is going to win, and they're going to have control of the Congress. And once that happens, they're able to move forward with impeachment, the impeachment process to get Trump out of office. Now, if they can push the confirmation till past November, which this is definitely extending it, and now in this Me Too movement era that we live in, just like Al Franken, once he had allegations against him, he just had to resign. So that's the thinking on this, is that they'll just have to pull out of the confirmation of this man, and he they'll have to find another candidate to go through the process of confirmation, and that could take until after the election, and then the Democrats could make the argument of, well, we should wait till after the election, and blah 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 blah. So that to me just sounds very calculated, and it sounds to me very underhanded. People with ulterior motives, manipulation, everything that I talk about. So if I'm a anti-New World Order type person, then this is where I got to start. This is where this is happening right now. So it's important to me to speak on it. And let's see. That's the main thing. Is that, okay? Well, everything's calculated. You want to wait till November to see, because then if Trump's impeached, then we have to wait, because Trump can't decide because he's under impeachment. It's all like a cycle. He can't appoint him because he's already illegitimate. You know what I mean? And this is the narrative that the mainstream media will go with, and it'll be a continuation of the nonsense that we have to deal with every day with the mainstream media. So this is this is just Democrats talking. So we'll just get into them and let this video play.
Again, women are watching. We are not going to allow that to happen again. If Republicans attack Dr. Ford and this turns into anything like what we saw back in 1991, women across the country are going to rise up, make their voices heard, and Republicans will pay a very huge price.
This should not be incumbent on the women of the United States Senate to carry the day in terms of understanding issues and understanding how you give people dignity in the process. Everybody should understand that.
Thanks, guys.
And by the way, and I'm not going to give, and I don't think the American public will give anyone an excuse for being uninformed or ignorant of the issues that are at play because they happen to be a man.
As you now know, the Judiciary Committee majority has decided to call a hearing for Monday to give Dr. Ford an opportunity to be heard, and I anticipate, obviously, they will handle this in a fair manner. It is still disturbing, however, to think about the way in which this is developed right at the end. The ranking member of the Judiciary Committee had notice of this for quite some time and decided to spring it right at the end. And it's pretty obvious this is all about delaying the process. But the accuser certainly does deserve a right to be heard, and we're looking forward to hearing what she has to say on Monday.
So there's a couple things. This now turns into man versus woman. The Me Too movement is this and that. I mean, it's as far as like the New World Order. It's so calculated. Okay, the lady's a doctor, so therefore, think of the psychology of people. Well, she's a doctor. She's not like a fucking ex-porn star, or she's she went through college and she's a doctor. She's not a dumbass. So therefore it gives her credibility. How they get these people to do what they do. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was raped. I don't know. I don't know. But as far as what you're seeing in that video right there, it's already condemnation. You know, it's already guilty and guilty as charged. There's no innocence until proven guilty there. And that's the problem that we have right now, is especially with Trump, is there's just automatically he's guilty. Automatically the testimony that she says is true. And like her testimony is the psychiatric notes, the psychiatrist she was going for marriage counseling, like the notes of the psychiatrist, where this one's unfolded, where she realized that she was raped. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, you didn't know you were raped when you were 15, really? I mean, you know, it's under some type of psychiatrist is doing his voodoo on you and you know, blaming your husband for why y'all's marriage sucks. You know what I mean? Typical, you know, feminist bullshit. But we will go to, let's see. Here is a pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Make this bigger. There we go. This is a pretty good. It's pbs.org, and it's basically how the sexual assault accusations against Kavanaugh unfolded in one timeline. So this is PBS. I know they're kind of mainstream media, but you know, we'll just go with it, right? So we could have a basic understanding of what happened. Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court confirmation has been roiled in recent days by Christine Blasey Ford allegations that he sexually assaulted her when they were teenagers at a party in the early 1980s. Kavanaugh has vehemently denied repeatedly the accusations. Ford's allegations have raised many questions, including about how and when they were made public. Republicans have pointed out that Democrats acted on the information just days before the Senate Judiciary Committee was slated to vote for Kavanaugh's confirmation. Democrats have stressed that Ford has spoken privately about her experience years before Kavanaugh was nominated in the High Court. So, just automatically believe that, guys. Just automatically believe this. These crisis actors, these paid informants or whatever they are. I mean, it just doesn't, I mean, whatever. Alleged summer 1982, alleged sexual assault. Christine Blasey Ford says that when she was attacked by Kavanaugh, she said his friend Mark Judge was also present. Ford was 15 and Kavanaugh was 17 at the time. See below. Kavanaugh unequivocally denied the accusation 36 years later. 1983, Kavanaugh graduates high school, and Mark Judge graduates from Georgetown Prep High School. And blah blah blah. 1993, Kavanaugh's first background check. Kavanaugh served as a law clerk for the Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy. He undergoes his first FBI background check for his position. 1997, friend writes of drunken past. Mark Judge's memoirs, Wasted Tales of Gen X Drunk, is published, detailing escapades starting in high school, including 100 kegs of beer or bust. So because this dude, Mark Judge, writes a memoir, now it's pinned to him. Do you see where the New World Order's painting their picture of how they're gonna do what they got to do? You know, and these are things that people in rooms are figuring out. They're like, okay, Trump as president, if there's any Supreme Court nominees that come up, he's gonna have to appoint one for life. This is a big deal. How do we put the boot on these people? How do we gather information? There's think tanks. There's people that sit in rooms and figure out ways and look at everybody that Trump has put in the past, and they try to find every dirt. So here's a little bit of dirt to paint this scenario, detailing drunken episodes starting with in high school. So now he's a drunken, he's pinned guilt by association as 100 kegs or bust drunken escapade guy. This nice picture they're painting. 2001, 2006, Kavanaugh works in the Bush White House, first in the council office, then assistant and staff secretary to the president. He undergoes FBI background checks triggered by the appointment of these positions. Now, with that, you're starting to see that this man is he's a lifelong since the beginning. He's been working within law, you know, and in government. So he has credentials within what President Trump is trying to get him confirmed for. Kavanaugh confirmed to the federal bench. The U.S. Senate votes 67-30 to put Kavanaugh in the U.S. Court of Appeals. Again, the role includes includes an FBI background check. Ford tells, goes back to sexual assault victim. Ford tells a therapist, husband about assault. While in couples therapy, Ford describing being sexually assaulted by members of an elite boys club from school, who went on to become high-ranking in society, according to the therapist, which were made available to the Washington Post. The therapist notes were made available to the Washington Post Washington Post. That's what I was talking about earlier. Ford's husband recalls her using the last name Kavanaugh to describe her attacker, and also that the attacker was a federal judge. Okay, well, she thinks she was raped by him. Ford again raises assault with therapists. Ford describes a rape attempt during her teens while in therapy. While individual therapy, according to therapist notes obtained by the Washington Post. Great. 2017, November 17th, Kavanaugh is on the Supreme Court list. President Donald Trump adds him to the potential Supreme Court nominees. Late 2017, Ford details story to neighbor. In the wake of Me Too movement, Ford tells her neighbor and friend Rebecca White her story of the assault, according to the Mercury News. Ford does not name Kavanaugh specifically, but she said feared being attacked if she went public. Well, maybe. June 17th, Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy announces his retirement. July 16th, Ford contacts an official and Washington Post about assault. Ford reaches out to someone and she describes as local government representative with her story about Kavanaugh at the point in early July. She also contacts Washington Post tip line. Okay. Kavanaugh nominated for Supreme Court July 9th. Trump introduced Kavanaugh at the White House. July 30th, Ford writes Feinstein. Ford writes a letter to Senator Dianne Feinstein detailing her allegations against Kavanaugh, according to a copy of the letter obtained by the CNN. August. Date unknown. Ford takes polygraph test. According to the Washington Post, which saw the results, a polygraph recommended by Ford's attorney concludes she is truthful when summarizing her allegation. But polygraphs are not admissible in court, and there's a reason for that. So Kavanaugh's hearing, and it's a polygraph by Ford's attorney. It's not non-biased. Kavanaugh hearing. Kavanaugh testifies before Senate Judiciary Committee. September 8th, Senate hears rumors. September 12th, news of letter breaks to Feinstein. Feinstein sends letter to the FBI. Feinstein refers to the letter with accuser named redacted. FBI puts a letter in Kavanaugh's background file. The fuck does the FBI need to know about any of that shit? Kavanaugh vote announced. September 3rd, Feinstein speaks. Feinstein releases a statement saying she has received information about concerning the nomination. Individual involved strongly requests confidentiality. Feinstein said acknowledged that she has referred the issue to the FBI. Must be serious. 30 years later, it's you finally contact the FBI. September 4th, Kavanaugh denial. September 16th, Ford goes public. She goes public with her accusation in a Washington Post story, saying that she wanted to remain anonymous, but leaks about her accuser made that impossible. Leaks about her accusations made that impossible. September 17th, committee delays vote, sets up new hearing. Judicial Committee announces a delay. Planned hearing for September 23rd. Just delaying it till after November, because they really think that Trump's going to be impeached, and therefore if the Democrats win, they don't have to. They can say, well, we're going to impeach the president. We should wait because he's committed crimes, and we don't think that he should be able to appoint the next Supreme Court justice. Kavanaugh issues another denial. He releases a statement saying, "This is a complete false allegation. I've done nothing wrong." Anything like that accuser describes to her or anyone. So it never happened. I had no idea who is making the accusation. So that's something to think about also. So they're gonna have hearings on this, and we'll see if she testifies under Congress, or the Judiciary Committee. If she does, I say that's good for her, because we'll see how good she does. I mean, most people will say that she doesn't have to. She's the victim. But in my opinion, it would help her case if she went up and testified instead of just having one-sided. But I heard people talking about Anita Hill today. I remember those times, but not really. I remember I was really young when all that happened. I remember I didn't understand what was going on, but it sounds like a repeating of history, of course. We do this all the time. I mean, especially now. It's just something the red card you can just throw, and everything just stops. But if I was Democrats, I'd be doing this too, though. I'd be stopping, because I think one thing with the Democrats is if Roe versus Wade is overturned, I think that would lead to violence, like true violence. Just like I think if President Trump is impeached, on the other side, I think that would lead to violence. So it's but we live in a country where that's not supposed to be going on. People aren't just supposed to make false accusations to affect policy. And if that happens with the psyops that go on, and the amount of hatred that people have against Donald Trump, I mean, that's what the psyops, false flags, are all about, and that's mainly what I'm talking about here. So this is Olympus Mons with the Above Limits podcast. As you can see, I am wearing my my official shirts You can get that at theabovelimits.com/merch. You can see the other shirts that we have there. Subscribe to the channel. That is the best way to support the channel. What else? If you like talking like this about the New World Order, there's the NWO UFO chat room. You can get that link in the description, and I believe you can get it on the website under NWO UFO tab. So meet other people that like to talk about this type of stuff. So this is Olympus Mons. Everybody stay awake, stay observant of the forces out there trying to manipulate society, manipulate this world. I do this to fight the New World Order, to fight these forces, and I believe you should too, and you should be aware, and don't just take your blind hate for a man because you didn't vote for him. You need to wake up to understanding what these people are trying to accomplish, and it's not in your interest. So this is Olympus Mons with the Above Limits podcast. We'll see you.